I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Isaiah chapter 29. Nephites shall speak as a voice from the dust. The apostasy, restoration of the gospel, and coming forth of the Book of Mormon are foretold. Compare 2 Nephi chapter 27. Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year. Let them kill sacrifices. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as Ariel. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with a mount, and I will raise forts against thee. And thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. Moreover, the multitude of thy strangers shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the terrible ones shall be as chaff that passeth away. Yea, it shall be at an instant suddenly. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. So Ariel, this says in the footnotes that it's Hebrew for hearth of God, or the temple, also translated as the altar in some places. So this is talking about largely Jerusalem, but also just the faithful. The temple can be a symbol of the church itself. But Jerusalem will be destroyed. Armies will camp against it, raise forts against it. But eventually the word of God, the temple, the true religion of God, speaks from the dust. And it says, as if one that hath a familiar spirit, meaning it is the dead speaking. Because a familiar spirit is somebody conjures the spirit of somebody who is dead, and that dead person then relays information or takes them on is their guide through the spirit world. That's the idea of a familiar spirit. And so it's the dead talking. This is a prophecy of the Nephites and the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. That's what this is what we're talking about here. And it will continue for most of the rest of this chapter. This is what it is. The dead speaking from the dust to reveal the altar of God, or the true religion of God. You will also note in verse 6, that is a prophecy of the destruction that occurred in the Americas when Christ died. We visited thunder, earthquake, noise, storm, tempest, and flame. That's the destruction that occurred in America when Christ died. Let us continue. Verse 7. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, even all that fight against her and her munition, and that distress her, shall be as a dream of a night vision. And it shall even be as when the hungry man dreameth, and behold, he eateth, but he waketh, and his soul is empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreameth, and behold, he drinketh, but he awaketh, and behold, he is faint, and his soul hath appetite. So shall the multitude of all the nations be that fight against Mount Zion. Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry, they are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. So again, this is clearly talking about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. But it's the apostasy before those who fight against Ariel. Those who fight against the true religion of God fall into darkness. We get the dark ages. And we get the time where people are drunken but not with wine, meaning they have no direction. They don't have the Spirit of the Lord anymore. And they're just in darkness. But then there comes forth the book. After a period where there are no more prophets, no more seers, the communication with God has been cut off for a time. And then we get the sealed book. Coming forth of the sealed book. Clearly this is the Book of Mormon. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about the history on that right now. So let us move on here, verse 13. Wherefore the Lord said, Forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turnings of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He had no understanding? Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest? So in this time of apostasy, in this time when people are rejecting God, not just lacking faith, but outright rejecting God, that they are hiding in the dark. They know better, but they want to pursue their own ideas. That's when God is going to start this work, when the Book of Mormon comes forth. But you will also note the whole thing there, shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Consider the secular ideas of the modern day, and how people want to deny God. They want to deny that there was anything that created this universe. That's what we're talking about here. They are denying that God exists. We're going to finish the chapter now, verse 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Therefore thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob, Jacob shall not be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the God of Israel. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. So note again the condition of the world. Many will see, the deaf will hear, the blind will see, they will come out of obscurity. There will be people who will read the Book of Mormon, know the truth, and embrace it. When it says they will come out of obscurity, they will understand who they truly are. Remember, our patriarchal blessings tell us what tribe of Israel we are from. We have come out of obscurity. That is what this is talking about. But there are still those who fight against it, who make a man an offender for a word, reprove in the gate. The gate, again, in ancient times, the city gate is where you would do public business. If you're going to have a trial, it would be at the gate. That's where the public business was done. So this is talking about those who are in positions of power, who are oppressing or persecuting the poor, who are shutting down the truth, who are trying to destroy it. Remember, making a man an offender for a word. Consider pronouns in the modern day. Consider the political correctness that is going on. All these things where our language, our very terminology is being criminalized. That's what he's talking about. And there will come a time, I believe, and I believe it will be very shortly, that to call yourself a Christian will be criminalized. When the Book of Mormon comes forth and the truth and the true religion is restored, Satan ramps up his work too. Just as God is bringing his work to its final conclusion, Satan is fighting tooth and nail against it. And the more God does, the harder Satan fights against it. And that is what we are seeing in the modern day. That is what this is talking about. Now, there are extensive Joseph Smith translations in this chapter. And so I'm going to do a separate video of the Joseph Smith translation for this chapter. So I will see you there next before we continue with the rest of Isaiah.